Hi friends, it's Kristine with Queen City Stamp Art, and I'm back for day 3 of the Christmas in July stamp along. And today's project is going to be a fun fold that I've really been enjoying immensely in my own personal crafting. I've been making this card in tons of different themes, and I'm really enjoying it. I think you will too. So I'm going to be sharing what I like to call the Bendy fun fold, because the card is kind of a bendy card and it's really cool. If you like to include fun folds in your holiday card making, but you hesitate sometimes because they can be kind of extra steps or extra supplies, this is a fun fold that you might want to include because it really does take minimal supplies and the extra steps are nothing. I think you're really going to enjoy this one. So let's get going. Okay, so the card today is this little bendy fun fold, and I call it the bendy fun fold because you literally bend it like this in order to for it to stand up. And some people, when they make this card, they'll score this back one in half so that it has an extra little bit of a reinforcement on that, but I have found that you really don't even need to. You can bend it a little bit just naturally, and then this part is scored so it will kind of point forward and hold the card upright. So it's a really cute little display card, but it doesn't really take any extra supplies, and of course it lays completely flat in the envelope. And I'm going to show you how to make it look like this panel is just sort of floating on the front of the card. Okay, there's a really neat little technique, and you can do this with lots of different card designs, but it works great with this particular one. So let's go ahead and go over the supplies you're going to need to put this card together. I'm going to be using the Jolly Holly stamp set for the sentiment and also for the little holly sprigs. We're going to do a little bit of coloring and fussy cutting those just to get them out to decorate the card. So for the actual pieces that you need, you're going to need a panel that measures 5.5 by 4.25. This is the base for our card. And then this piece is a standard layer, 4 by 5.25. And it's going to go on the back of your panel. So we're going to be doing some stamping on it, and then it will be glued to the back of the panel. Then to get this front panel, this like little pop-up section, you're going to need a piece of designer series paper that measures 5 by 4.25. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to be scoring this. We'll score it together. But let me just finish going over the rest of the pieces. So you'll need a little scrap of white if you're using the stamp set like I am, in order to stamp your holly, color, and cut it out with your scissors. And then we need a little focal panel for the front of the card. And I chose to use a banner. I think this is the second to largest banner in the nested essentials dies. So you'll need a banner shape. And then in order to support the sentiment panel on the front of the card to make it look like it's floating, you're going to need two little mechanism pieces, I call them. And they're little strips that measure, I think this is 1/2 inch by 2 inches. And then you're going to squirt them at 1 inch so that they can be easily folded in half. So you'll need 2 of these. Okay, so you can go ahead and pause the video if you want to and cut your pieces. You'll also need 2 pieces of either designer series paper in a coordinating pattern, or maybe a little panel that has some embossing, like from an embossing folder. I'm using gold foil strips. These measure a little less than 1/2 inch, and the ones I'm using on the card today are about 1/4 inch by 4.25 inches. So 1/4 inch by 4.25 inches, 2 of those. Okay, so go ahead and cut your pieces, and then when you get back, we will go ahead and do the scoring. So I'll set this product aside and bring in my trimmer, and you'll need your trimmer or your scoring tool. And we're going to score this piece together. These are very simple scores. So you're just going to want to score it at 1/2 inch. You're going to put it so that the long edge is at the top of the trimmer versus the short edge. The longer edge is at the top, and you're going to score it at 1/2 inch. And then you're going to slide it over and score it at 2.5 inches. And then you're going to slide it over all the way to 4.5 inches. So 1/2 inch, 2.5, 4.5. Okay, and that's it. That's all you need to do for scoring. Very, very simple. So now what's going to happen is we're going to fold these backward. And by the way, I am using a piece of designer series paper from our Painterly Pairs 12 by 12 designer series paper pack. This is a new paper pack in the online exclusives on the Stampin' Up website. And I thought it would work great because it has some Mossy Meadow and some Old Olive, and I wanted those colors for this cute little design. I also thought the leaf pattern was very festive, even for the holidays. So anyway, that's why I picked it. So this is the piece. So you're gonna fold the little wings on the end in, and then you're gonna kind of bend it forward like this so that it has some flexibility. And we're gonna use this a little bit later when we're putting the card together. So go ahead and set these pieces aside. And we're just going to bring in the pieces that we're going to stamp, okay? So for the first portion of this, we're going to need a sentiment for the inside of the card. So I think I'm just going to do Merry Christmas on mine. So I'm going to take the Merry and the Christmas images and mount them on my block. Here's Christmas. I'm going to flip it over and do Merry. And then we'll go ahead and stamp the sentiment. So we'll do Merry and Christmas. Oh, oops. Oh, there's a little piece of plastic on there. Shoot. This is why I always stamp before I stick. So we're going to flip this over and try it again. Much better. There we go. And then, so this piece can be, oh no, I still have to do more. We're going to have to pull in the holly image. So I'm going to take the holly image and ink it up in black. And I'm going to stamp it right here in the corner. And I'm going to be coloring that in. And then I'm also going to use the holly to stamp 2 more of these. Oh shoot, I want to stamp them in black, not green. So we'll do black and another one just like that. And then let's see here. We're going to stamp the sentiment for the front of the card here. And I think I'm going to use my red ink pad, my real red, to stamp Holly and Jolly. I'm just going to ink this up nice and stamp it right here in the center of my panel. And then I'm going to go around this with some of the smaller sentiments that say have a Holly and Jolly Christmas. So the have a is one little image. And I'm going to stamp that in green right over top. And then I'm going to use the word Christmas for the bottom. So it's really fun to be able to layer these images together to create the sentiments that you really want, you know, on your card. Oh, I did it again. Another little piece of plastic. So we'll go ahead and stamp this. I don't know where all those little pieces of plastic are coming from. And then we'll try this again. In the Mossy Meadow, have a, and then I'm going to flip this over and add the Christmas. Just like that. There we go. So that's our sentiment for the front of the card. So that's all set. And now we're just going to close up these ink pads and we'll do a little bit of coloring quickly. So I'm going to be using Stampin' Blends markers. These are our alcohol markers. And I'm using them in Mossy Meadow and Cherry Cobbler. And so I'm going to start with the cherry and I'm just going to color in the little berries on here very quickly. And I'm using the lightest one. Very easy coloring. And then I'm going to come in with the dark one, and I'm just going to add a little dot of dark to each of the berries. And this just creates a little bit of a shading effect. It's hard to even see, but you kind of notice it when you see it up close and in person. Then we're going to move on to the light Mossy Meadow color, and I'm just going to color in all of the entire little holly leaf with this color. Nice, quick and easy coloring. And I love the alcohol markers because they're so smooth. I love the smooth color of these. So just like that. Then I'm going to take my dark Mossy Meadow, the bullet tip, and I'm just going to add a little bit to the center where that little natural image is on the leaf, that little vein image. I'm just going to add that, and then I'll go back in with my light and just scribble out through the center just to kind of blend it a little bit. And what that does is it adds another layer of color and depth of color that makes it look a little bit shaded, so that the outside edges of the leaves are a little bit lighter. So it gives that kind of that shaded impression. It's nothing fussy, it's just a little bit of detail, but it is really fun. Then, let's see here. I'm going to take my scissors, my little snips, and I'm going to fussy cut around the edge of these little hollies. And I'm not going to go crazy, you know, trying to get in every little nook and cranny. I'm just kind of going along the edges, and I'm leaving a white border around the outside. I'm really just kind of trying to hold my scissors still and wiggle the paper. That's why the paper's moving a lot, because I'm moving the paper instead of my scissors. The only movement for my scissors is really to just close the blade and readjust the blade once it has closed. There we go. Okay, so these are my two, and that should do it. So now we can go ahead and finish putting the card together. So we'll bring in all of our pieces and we'll get our adhesive and we'll start working on this. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to glue this piece to this is the back of the card where you're going to sign your name and write your message. And I'm just going to glue this to the back of the card. So just like this, just like that. And then this is the little bendy part. And then we're going to take the front of the card and we're going to just glue this. We're going to add some adhesive to the strips. And then we're going to go ahead and center this piece. I like to center it on the bottom, along the bottom edge and side to side. And then go ahead and press it down. And now you have it lined up perfectly. And now when you go ahead and bend it, you get the bendy card and it sort of stands up on its own. It has its own little bend, and this part is what creates the support for your design. So there it is. Now we can add a little bit of adhesive to our gold strips. And these are just some extra embellishments just to kind of fill in that space a little bit. You can really do this with anything. If you have designer series paper, like a coordinating pattern, or you want to add an embossed panel there, you certainly could. I thought the gold strips would be really nice because it's a holiday card, and that makes it look a little bit more fancy. I think anytime that you have an opportunity to get like some gold foil, silver foil, maybe some of those glitter cardstocks. Stampin' Up! Is so economical in how they sell them. I mean, you get 2 really nice sheets for $5, and those glitter papers are gorgeous. And all it takes is just a little bit, and it can make a whole difference on how fancy your card looks. So it's well worth having in your stash to pull from. So what I'm doing here is I'm folding these little wings in half, and you're going to have a little side that's open and then a side that's on the fold. And what you want to do is you're going to want to put some adhesive on the back of one of the strips, and you're going to want to place this so that the folded edge is lined up with the score line in the center of your card. Now I don't want to go on the score line or past it. I just want to go up to it. So just like that. And then this is open on that outside edge. And I'm going to do the same thing on this one. So it doesn't matter which side you put the adhesive on, because you're going to end up putting adhesive on both sides. But to start, you just want to position it so that the open end faces the outside edge of your card. So these are not going to touch. I'm just putting it up against the line again. So now you can see close up that there's a space between them, but the folded edge is on the inside, and you've got these two little wings. This is what you're going to mount your sentiment panel to. So we're just going to go ahead and add some adhesive to these now, to both of them. And you're going to position this over top, and you're just going to want to kind of center it side to side and top to bottom, so that it's nice and even there. And then rub. And now you have this adorable little pop-up that makes it look like the sentiment panel is kind of floating off the surface of your card, which is so cool. I mean, people look at this and they're thinking to themselves, how did she do that? And then when you look, you can see kind of how it was done, but it really is cool. I really like it. So now I'm going to take some dimensional adhesive and I'm going to add these little, these cute little holly sprigs that I colored onto my card, and I'm just going to use some of the edge pieces because they're smaller, just like that. And then we'll add these to the card base to decorate, and that should do it for the card. So I'm just going to put one here, and then I'm going to go ahead and add one here just to make this a little bit more festive for the season. And if you have like crystal effects, you could add that to the berries and then let it dry so the berries look kind of 3D. Or you're welcome to use your Wink of Stella pen and kind of Wink of Stella the whole thing. I don't think I have mine here, or I would use mine, but I don't have it. But yeah, you could add Wink of Stella to your holly just to sparkle it up. Lots of fun things you can do. You could even add some gems if you wanted to add something else to it. But I really like it just how it is. I think it's really pretty. So I hope you enjoyed this card design, and I hope you'll remake this in a bunch of different themes, because it really is super fun and such an interesting type of card. I just loved it and wanted to share it with you. So I hope you enjoyed the project for today, and tomorrow I will be back with a really simple gift card holder. So I'll see you then.